Someone sent me a present. Hello, I'm Bob. No, not that Bob. He mends things. I'm Bob the actor. I pretend to be different people that lived a long time ago. I'm going inside now to have a look at my present. Someone has sent me a diary. Do you know what that is? A diary is a book that has a space for every day in the week, for every month in the year, where you can write about what you've done, what you're doing, or what you're going to do. So now I can write about all the things that I do every day. What a great present. Funny word, isn't it, present? A present means a gift, but the present can mean something else. The present can mean now. What are you doing at the present? Well, you're watching me, aren't you? Well, most of you are. Yes, at the present or now, you are watching me. Now, the present has two friends, the past and the future. When the delivery man rang my doorbell, that was a few minutes ago, so that was the past. It's already happened. But you watching me is happening now, so that's right, it's the present. Tomorrow, I'm going to start writing in my diary, so that hasn't happened yet, so that's in the future. But first, in a few minutes, I'm going to have a nice cup of tea, and that's in the future too. So, past, present and future. Have you got the idea? Let's see. I'm going to ask you some questions now, and if your teacher doesn't mind, you can all call out the answers. Here we go then. This morning you all had breakfast. That was in the... That's right, in the past. It's already happened. You're not eating breakfast now, are you? Well, I hope not. Right now, you're watching this video, and that's in the... That's right, the present. You're watching me now. After school, you'll all go home, and that's in the... That's right, the future. You'll all go home later. Well done, you've got it. Past, present and future. I'm going back to have another look at my new diary now, after I finish my cup of tea. Now let's talk some more about the past. What you all did earlier before watching me on this video, we call the past, don't we? But things that happen in the past, we can also say are history. Yes, history can be as recent as what you did before school, or what people did hundreds or even thousands of years ago. You see, history is all about the past. What about your history? Yes, you all have your own history, your own story of what has happened to you since the day you were born, right up until what you did before you started watching this video now, in the present. Here's some of my history. When I was a baby, when I was about your age, and when I was a teenager. Those times are in the past, aren't they? Because I don't look like that now. How much of your history can you remember? Your birthdays perhaps, your holidays. What about your first day at school? All of the games that you've played with your friends and family, all of that is your history. I asked some people about the earliest things that they could remember from their lives, their own history. Here's what they said.
In the 1920s, we used to be playing hopscotch, and a man would come round with a barrel organ and he'd wind it up and he'd play some music. And we used to sit on the curbs and listen to his music. And then there was another man come round, he used to make toffee. And we used to rush up to get the toffee, you know, it's all Yankee toffee. And it used to cost us about a halfpenny or a penny, you know.
My earliest memory was from when I was about 3 or 4. I dressed up as Superman for a fancy dress assembly at school. But sadly, I don't really have any superpowers.
Hello, this is my teddy. Her name is Didi. When I was young, very small, about 5 or 6 years old, whenever I felt scared, I could run upstairs to my bedroom. I'd look for Didi and I would give her a big hug. She made me feel safe and I wasn't scared anymore. Didi was my best friend. She's still my best friend.
Well, now you know what history is. things that happened in the past. Your teachers will, in the future, be telling you about all different times and things that happened in our world's history. Things like the Great Fire of London, Romans, Tudors, Vikings, Victorians, and much more. So many exciting different times in our history. But how long ago were they? It's hard to imagine or measure how long ago these things happened. If we were measuring a toy, we would use a rule like this, and we could see how many millimetres or centimetres long the toy was. But we can't use a rule like this to measure time. You see, time is measured in hours, days, weeks, months and years. And although we can see hours on a clock, we can't see days, weeks, months and years like we can the millimetres and centimetres on the rule, can we? So what we need to do to help us picture how long ago something happened is to think of something that we all know that we can use as a measure. I know. Think about your granny. How many years old is a granny? I know they're all different ages, but let's pretend that a granny is about 50 years old. So, if we think of a granny as being 50, we can use her to measure back in time in nice and easy 50-year pieces, like this. One granny is 50 years ago, two grannies 100 years ago, three grannies are 150 years ago, and so on. Have you got the idea? So let's look at time periods in history that you will be taught by your teachers, and let's see how many grannies ago they were. So, one granny ago, it was the 1960s. World War I was 2 grannies ago. 3 grannies ago, it was the Victorians, and 7 grannies ago, the Great Fire of London. The Tudors, that's Henry VIII, was 10 grannies ago. The Romans, 41 grannies. The ancient Greeks, 48, and the ancient Egyptians, 66 grannies ago. Wow, what a fun way to measure time. So now think about your real granny, and for that matter, your granddad. When were they born? Were they alive in the 1950s, 60s or 70s? And if so, what can they tell you about those times?
In the 1970s, it was a very interesting time for fashion. Men used to wear shoes with high heels and platform soles. And these were my husband's platform shoes.
In the 1950s, not long after the war, money was quite tight and bikes were expensive. So my friend and I, we made a trolley, pram wheels, a plank, a box sitting on it, and we steered it with a rope. I pushed him and he pushed me. We had a lot of fun.
People these days listen to music on MP3 players. In the 1960s, we used to buy our music on vinyl records, like these.
Do you still have a great-grandma or great-granddad? That's your granny's mum or dad. When were they born? Were they alive in the 1930s or 1940s when World War II was happening? What can they tell you about that?
My brother was evacuated during the war. We used to send him comics and Nestle's chocolate, and then we used to go and see him the weekends. And he was so pleased to see you, you know.
During World War II, my mum was a member of the Women's Auxiliary Air Force Service stationed in Wales, and she had a lovely uniform. In the 1950s, when I was a little girl, I was often seen parading up and down the garden wearing her Air Force hat.
During the Second World War, food was in very short supply, so we used to go to the offal shop, queue up for it, and we had sheep's heads, offal and pig's trotters.
Wow, so many interesting stories. Can your great-granny or granddad remember what their mums and dads, your great-great-grandparents, told them about their young days in the Victorian times?
Now, this is my maternal grandmother, Helen, married obviously to my grandfather, who was a docker. Now, she came from a fairly wealthy family, and it was considered that she married beneath her. She was a brilliant pianist, and she must have weighed somewhere in the region of about 20 stone, I think, because as she played, her arms used to wobble.
My husband's granddad had a little shop, and that day he sold hot cross buns, but because he didn't sell them all, he started to eat them all. You give yourself a tummy ache.
This is another sister of my father's. She's Dorothy Longfoot, which was her name when she got married. Because she was a musical artist, and the Longfoot was not quite the thing, so she changed her name to Longford.
It's fun getting people to tell us about the olden days, isn't it? Well, the olden days are history. So why don't you talk to your mums and dads, grannies and granddads about their history? Then you can write about it and share it with your class. I think it's time for a song now, don't you? This is the past, present and future song. I'll sing it to you first, then I want you all to join in. Here we go. Things that we did yesterday, they're now in the past. Things we said and games we played, they all went by so fast. But as we sing this song right now, our voices sound so pleasant. We clap in time and sing the rhyme, and this is in the present. We think about tomorrow and all that it will bring, and that will be the future. For the present we'll just sing. Things that happened long ago sometimes seem a mystery, but each and every one of us, we all have a history. Now it's your turn. Are you ready? Are you sure? Then here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Things that we did yesterday, they're now in the past. Things we said and games we played, they all went by so fast. But as we sing this song right now, our voices sound so pleasant. We clap in time and sing the rhyme, and this is in the present. We think about tomorrow and all that it will bring, and that will be the future. For the present we'll just sing. Things that happened long ago sometimes seem a mystery, but each and every one of us, we all have a history. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about the past, the present and the future. I'm going to write about what I did yesterday in my new diary now. So from me, Bob, goodbye.
I like numbers. Numbers are great. Numbers are everywhere. Can you see any numbers in the room? I can. Look at the clock. Can you count from 1 to 12 the numbers on a clock? If you can, you're Superman and you can really rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Listen to how the clock ticks. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See it ticking on the shelf. Can you count from 1 to 12 the numbers on a clock? Bye-bye. Do you know your letters, your A's, your B's and C's? Do you know where letters go to spell out words like, trees? T-R-E-E-S spells trees. I like spelling. Do you know your alphabet?
I do, listen. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We say our letters easily. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. How much fun can spelling be? Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. Really, was that much to trouble you? X, Y, Z letters in your head can help you spell the words you've said.
Spelling can be fun, so why don't you learn that little song to help you remember your alphabet? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.